Be here, there's lots of technology shared, lots of things, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Stack, and all the Azure technologies, as well as different areas like PHP and Azure tables and all the Azure services. It's good to be here, very well organized. And
who enjoyed the video and is also excited to be part of that. Last year it was a very successful event. So last year we had 13 sessions, 14 speakers and 150 participants. But you don't have to worry that. I can assure you that this year we've got 21 sessions, 22 speakers and 260 participants. So there's an increase of 8 sessions, 8 speakers here. So you might have seen from all the posts going around that our event sponsor is Microsoft and our co-sponsor being WebQuarters. So thanking all the sponsors, because without them, today won't be a possibility. So let's now have a look at what they've got for us.
What you can do with it. Reality that changes how we see the world, and AI empowering us to change the world we see. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. So here's the question: what will you do with it?
Next, as per the agenda, we have the welcome speech. Therefore, I would like to invite one of our main organizers, Mr. Shamida Prajapriya, Azure MVP and Solutions Architect at Web Quarters, on stage to welcome you all.
Very good morning. No reply. Okay, thank you. Okay. Actually, glad to see you all this event. As she explained very well, like last year we had 150 participants, but this year we were able to do 250 participants. That's a great achievement. Okay, so I welcome you all for the event. The first, from our heartiest, thank you for participation and confirming your attendance. And we had a rough time of the event previously organized, and we had to postpone it. After running through all the, finally we came to this date. Okay. So I want to highlight sponsors. These are the global, local sponsors actually, from starting from Web Quarters, ISM APAC, Potenza, and the Moonpeak. Why you are here? Because of them. And Innoventis, DSQL, Ascentic, Aventure, and Trident, Commercial Bank, NetAssist. And the next three is for you basically actually, EC.lk, Daily Deals, and IBLK. You have a lot of gifts at the end of the session provided by them. And again, the next two sponsors, DreamAngle and Elevator. DreamAngle is
I would like to see some more energy coming from this crowd. Good morning, Colombo. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Tulasi. I work for Microsoft as Azure Architect. I am here on behalf of our country manager. He was supposed to deliver this keynote today. Unfortunately, he got engaged with something important for him. So on behalf of him, I am here to do the keynote presentation. So let me quickly get my slide up. Right. So I've been with Microsoft for 3 years, and before joining Microsoft, I worked with a few other cloud providers as well. Most of my experience is from the UK. I worked for small and large companies, and I know the full breadth of development. I'm from the development background, and I've been helping organizations in Sri Lanka for the last 3 years to get onto Azure. So before I start, I would like to get an idea. How many of you are new to Azure? Please raise your hands. Okay, few. And how many of you have been using Azure for more than 2 years? Awesome, good. So we have the right mixture of people here who are new to Azure and who have been using Azure for some time. So I'm going to I have constructed this in such a way that it helps both the parties. For those who are very new to Azure, I have few content. So bear with me for those who have been using Azure for 2 years, please bear with me because you are going to see what you have already seen. And for those who have been using Azure for 2 years, I have few contents as well. So before I start, I just want to reflect on what we have been doing. So this event was supposed to happen on the 27th of April, and unfortunately, due to our country situation, we have to postpone. So like what Shamira said, this is the largest event, cloud event that happens in the world, not just in Sri Lanka. It happens throughout the world. Like what he said, more than 300 places that we have been running this Azure boot camp. And there are tons and tons of people. I don't have the official count yet, but tons and tons of people have been using Azure, using this event to learn Azure and to improve usage of Azure. So thanks to the army of MVPs, they have been doing a fantastic job. And where Microsoft, we have a limited number of people in Microsoft. Our extended army is the MVP. They have been doing fantastic, phenomenal job in Sri Lanka, going to the nooks and corners of Sri Lanka and letting people know what is the power of Azure. So thanks again for them. And I just want to highlight one thing, that unity is our strength. I am a Sri Lankan, and I've been brought up in Sri Lanka. I went to UK only when I was 27 years old as a highly skilled migrant, and I understand the country's wealth, the country's importance. If you take this region, I've been working in this region, not just in Sri Lanka, in this region. If you look at the second largest economy next to India, is Sri Lanka. We have Bangladesh, much bigger country, much more population than us. But are they big like us? No. And not only in the economic world, we also if we take into account the nature, the gift of nature. Which country has the most rain? You know, India, right now, they are all suffering because there is no rain. Thank God that we had raining in the morning. So Sri Lanka is such a beautiful country. We have all the natural resources. The only thing that we don't have is the unity. We separate ourselves by the name of religion, by the language that we speak, by the race that we were brought up in. How do you know that your parents have taken the right child? Maybe I was born to some other religion, but my parents have been taken from the hospital. So why do we differentiate ourselves by religion? Why do we differentiate by the language that we speak? Why do we differentiate by all the races and castes that we have? So that is the only thing. Not only that, the political parties and everyone is taking advantage of all these things. That is the only thing that I want to make as a request today, that we are failing our country by the misunderstanding. I don't know where the problem is. Maybe it is the schooling, it is the education. That is the only thing that we need to change. Once we change, I've seen the world. I will tell you, the demand for engineers from Sri Lanka, the demand for doctors from Sri Lanka is much, much, much more higher than any other country. You go and tell yourself that you are a Sri Lankan doctor, you will automatically get respect. You go and tell yourself that I am a software engineer from Sri Lanka, you get the respect. Our universities are producing much higher quality than any other universities in this region. And right now, all the countries are having a lot of difficulties finding finding job for all the graduates. We don't have such a problem. We have rather brain drain, where all the natural, the good, talented people are moving away from the country. And that is giving a lot of hope for the new generation coming into the country. So we have a natural flow within this country. Everything is positive. Everything that looks in Sri Lanka is very positive. So we'll have to keep this in mind, and we'll have to just respect each other. So as a kind request, I want to make a request here right now. Before you go out, please try to meet a stranger, not a stranger, your brother, your sister, in this room, and say hi, handshake, and then exchange your cards if possible. Don't just be with your company. Stick together around, go around with your company alone. Just be with other people. That will give you, that is the only thing that I have seen as a lack in Sri Lankans. We are very reluctant to go and meet a stranger and say hi to the people. We just stay close to whom we know. That is the only thing. If you go to India, if you go to UK, if you go to any other country, that is the difference that I see. I think I've said enough on the country and the situation. Now I am coming to the technical content. The world runs on software. What is not software? You take anything. You take the refrigerator. You take the air conditioner. You take the washing machine. Everything that you use today is being driven by software. I happened to meet an engineer who works for a famous car company, and he was saying that he joined the car company as an electronic engineer. And he said, I'm not anymore an electronic engineer, I'm a software developer. Every single engineer that we have, even if you go to the electricity board and everything, now everything is being driven by software. Maybe not yet in this country, but if you go to any other country, the national grid is completely monitored by software. Everything is driven by software. So that means we have plenty of opportunity. That is the market space that we have. So if you know anyone that who is reluctant to learn software, or who thinks that, okay, there is enough software engineers, there is no job opportunities, that's wrong. Go and tell your people that anyone that you know, the demand for software engineers are very high. And this is the greatest time to be a developer. You may be an engineer who comes from the networking background, who comes from the database background, whatever it is. Do you think the networking is just hardware engineering now? Do you see a difference between software engineering and hardware engineering? From the time when I was learning software development, I was told, okay, software is something else, hardware is something else, networking is something else, database development is something else. But now, after seeing all this, maybe about 20 years of experience, I don't see any boundaries between any one of them. As a software developer, I need to understand how network works. How can I secure my software code? Similarly, if you are a network engineer, if you are an infrastructure engineer, you need to know how you can support the speed. We have scrapped all our Windows Phone development, and we are supporting all the software, everything that helps people who are using Android and iOS. Why do you think it is happening? Because Microsoft see, like what the video that shows, we see tremendous opportunity. We want to be the enablers of technology. Whatever the device that you use, whatever the technology that you use, Microsoft is going to be behind all of them. If you take 95% of the Fortune 500 companies, they are using Microsoft Azure. Something invented by the Google engineers in DevOps. And if you have a team of 5 people, it is completely free of charge. All the way from managing it to having a repository. Having the CI/CD, maybe I'm talking too much of technology here, bear with me. If you want to understand, you go to respective sessions where people will give you all the in-depth details about it. CI/CD, artifact factories, and all these things, if you look at it, it's supported by Microsoft, and it is given free of charge. So, and this is not for C# only. This is for PHP, this is for Java, this is for Node.js, whatever you have it, anything. We support it by, it's supported by Microsoft. So that is one of the one of the key things that I want you all to take it with you today at the end of this session. So Microsoft is your tool and your language, your applications. Whatever it is, we are going to support it. And the key concept that I want to give today is, we all have heard about the cloud. But is cloud good enough for us to satisfy the world hunger? The answer is yes. Yeah, certain scenarios, yes. But there are scenarios where you can't go to the cloud. For example, anyone coming from the banking sector here? Oh, that's okay, excellent. So those who come from the banking sector, there is a restriction by the central bank that none of the data can go out of the boundaries of Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, none of the cloud provider has any data center in Sri Lanka yet. But this is a restriction given by certain authorities that the data cannot go out of the country. So this is one scenario where we need to keep the data within the country limits. The second scenario is you need to have very low latency. Maybe you are taking some they conducted a survey, I think in January or February. They were asking what is the favorite tool, the most used development tool in the world. And there were about 70,000 or 90,000, I'm not sure exactly, close to 70,000 or more than that. Developers participated in that survey. And what is the output of that? Visual Studio Code is the most highly used development tool. How many of you are using Visual Studio Code today? Perfect. So this is used by Google engineers, this is used by Apple engineers to write Java code, to write PHP code, to write Node.js code, whatever it is. It's a very lightweight tool. I will show you some demos later on. It's a very lightweight tool used by thousands and thousands, lakhs of developers. And the second is the Visual Studio, which is our own legendary. Microsoft is very famous for, it has been, I think there is more than 9 years old now, Visual Studio, and we've been bringing out fantastic tools of Visual Studio. One of the recent developments is, this is one of my the web browser itself. There is nothing for you to download. So you can use any internet-enabled device and you don't have to have 16 gig memory, 8 gig memory, 4 CPUs. No, no such thing. It runs on the cloud, where the entire power is behind this. So this is one of the unique scenario that we have. This is one of the latest developments of Visual Studio Code. The second scenario is, let's assume that you are using Visual Studio and you have been using C# only. And now you want to work on a legacy application which was written in C++. So as you can see that C++ was not installed. And all you need to do is you simply create a cloud environment which is not in your PC, it's on the cloud. You simply start writing, compiling your C++ code where all the C++ libraries are installed. So this is a scenario where I have faced multiple times where I wanted to debug a legacy application which requires C++ 6.0 library. If I install it, I'm sure that it is going to ruin all my PC because this is very old technology. So how do I make sure? What we do, we try to create a virtual machine within our machine itself and we try to work on it. Or we create the virtual machine on the cloud and we install all the stuff that we want to and we fix it. You don't need to go through the hassle of installing virtual machines. This is the world of container now. So this is kind of a container that is given to you. It's an environment given to you on the cloud where you can simply set up the Visual Studio environment which has the required libraries installed, maybe C++ 6.0, which cannot be installed on the modern Windows 10 environment. So this is one of the beauties that Microsoft is trying to resolve. No other IDE can provide this level of intelligence. These are just two highlights that I am giving. If you go to the visualstudio.com, you can see there are tons and tons of things. For example, let's say for collaboration, I don't know how many of you have seen the build event. So there was a demo on the build event. You can go and search on the YouTube. One engineer was sitting on one country, one side, and another engineer was sitting on the other side. One engineer does not know anything about JavaScript, and he was asking for help from a different team. And they were able to simply log into his machine without using the RDP or anything. They get everything in their PC, and they were using Mac OS, and they can see everything, they can fix the issue, they can compile it where the compilation happens on the other PC, and it runs on that PC. Even if you type localhost, it goes to their PC. It's not on their PC, on the PC where the person is trying to help. These are some of the beautiful advantages that Microsoft is trying to bring in. It understands the requirements of developers, the modern developers, and it's trying to address all these things. And the next thing that I want to talk about is the DevOps. So the DevOps is a big hype. I know that there are going to be a few sessions today, and I urge all of you to attend as many DevOps sessions. So DevOps is kind of becoming part and parcel of everything, regardless of whether you're a database guy, whether you're a developer, whether you're an IT folk, it doesn't matter. DevOps is the way forward. Everyone is moving towards DevOps. What is DevOps? Is it just agile? No, it is not just agile. If you can develop something, you may be fixing a bug. How soon can you deploy it? We come from the age of the waterfall mechanism where people go and understand, these are the things to be done. Oh, this is a CR. We document it. We get the signature approval. Then we go and develop it. The tester comes and tests it. And manual testing, I'm talking about. They test it, and then we go to the manager for approval. Then we do the UAT. Then the UAT passes. Then you put it on the production. When the production crashes, everyone scratches their head. This is what we have been doing. How long it takes? 6 to 7 months. Minimum, or 1 year. If you are, I have seen there are software where people have started developing and it took 2 years to deliver it. But that age is gone. What is the speed at which Amazon, our competitor, is releasing today? Every 11.2 seconds there is a new release coming out. I'm not talking about Amazon Web Services, AWS. I'm talking about the Amazon platform where they sell products. Every 11.5 seconds there is a new release coming from Amazon. Every day there are minimum 3 releases. You go to Azure Updates, you search for Azure Updates, and you will see that every single day minimum 3 releases made by Azure alone. You go to Microsoft. Can you show any other company which is doing this today? How is it possible? Only because we have the DevOps practices. DevOps is not just tool. If you simply buy this tool tomorrow, go and install it in your thing, and if you expect everything to happen at the speed at which things are moving today, nothing will happen. You have to change. Your culture has to change. Your mentality has to change. The way you think has to change. It is not just making money. It is not just getting all the tick boxes ticked. It is thinking about automation. How can I do it? If there is a manual intervention, how can I prevent this manual intervention? How can I automate this? That is the thinking that you need to have today. So these are some of the DevOps tools that we have. Everything is being monitored by. And it is also important that we are in the agile world. The difference between agile and the DevOps, people ask me often. The agile is like every 2 weeks you release something. No, DevOps says no, don't do that. As soon as you fix something, as soon as you finish working on one work item, you release it. So if I start making a change in a database, adding a new column, as soon as I say done, it is done, maybe it's just 1 day I have taken. If I can release it tomorrow to the production, that is what I call as DevOps. It is not just keeping in everything ready and 2 weeks time the engineer comes, the IT folks come and they install it, they ask 100 questions. Is it bug free? Have you got the permission from the manager? If it goes down, are you going to come in the night 12 o'clock and fix it for me? These are the questions that people ask. So in order for you to release in that fashion, at that speed, what you need to do? You also need to be ready to revert back, right? I'm releasing version 2.0 where the people are crying, oh my God, I can't use it. It's a hotel reservation system, and this is the time where all the foreigners are booking the hotels in Sri Lanka. And if I crash something today, I need to know how can I revert back within few seconds. This is what is called DevOps. How can I release, roll back, and how can I make sure that everything is up and running at the point of mark? So this is what DevOps is all about. It is not just say, I'm having the repository, I'm having CI/CD. Bullshit, I don't want. Sorry about my language, but this is what I say to people. Don't talk about CI/CD as DevOps. That's not DevOps. People have a misconception. If you can release it to the production at the end, that is what it is. What do you need? You need to have very micro level management. What work item is being developed, who is working on that, and what is the automated testing has happened, and are there any failures in the test runs, and then finally you go to production. Once you go to production, if there are problems, how can I revert it back? All these things are managed by Microsoft DevOps. We have the tool ready. I don't know how many of you are using this, but this is the power of our tool that we have. So maybe I will, if I get some time later on, I will show you what these things are in a live environment. So I have taken some screenshots here just for you to show you. And one of the questions that I get from the industry today in Sri Lanka, are you supporting only NuGet? NuGet is the C# library repository. Are you supporting only NuGet in your DevOps? So as you can see, this is the NuGet, and you can see that there is a Node.js stuff. These are all, the entire libraries are NPM libraries. And this entire set is Maven repository. You don't have to have your Artifactory running in your on-prem for you to serve the Maven repository. It is all available, and it can be integrated into any IDE. For example, let's say you might be using Eclipse, you might be using IntelliJ. If you want to integrate with it, you can go ahead and do that. The next thing that I highlight here is, this is again one of the key feature, that a killer feature that Microsoft has. You can simply deploy to multiple devices, and you can run your application on real devices, Android devices, iOS devices. There are tons and tons of devices. If I get time, I will show you some screen samples. And you can see how your application is reacting. You don't need to buy all these devices, or you don't need to find people who are having these unique devices to do the testing. You can simply use Azure DevOps, App Center. Microsoft provides App Center, where you can do this testing. One of the questions recently someone was asking me, are we supporting the devices that are available in Sri Lanka? This is again one of the unique feature, I will tell you. Microsoft is the only place where you can find Samsung Galaxy A series. No other cloud provider, anyone close to Microsoft, they don't have A series, because A series is not being sold in the US, not being sold in the European market. A series is a cheap phone that is available, made in China or Korea, I don't know, and it is made available in the countries, third world countries like Sri Lanka. Can we test it? Yes, Microsoft supports. M series is something that came out only for these regions. M series is supported. And Huawei phones, I know that Huawei's are going out, but Huawei phones, a lot of people in Sri Lanka are using Huawei phones. Can we do the testing? Yes, Huawei's are in our Azure marketplace, where you can deploy and do the testing. This is one of the beauties of the Microsoft, where you can do a lot of things. And it gives you not only testing, it gives you crash reports. People are using your application, and how many times it is crashing, how many times people are getting thrown away, which devices are throwing more problems. Everything can be tracked using the App Center. So enough said about Azure DevOps, and there are people who are using GitHub. You all know that GitHub was acquired by Microsoft some time ago, and you might have heard a negative news saying that, okay, people are leaving from GitHub, going and joining GitLab or something else. That's not true. After Microsoft took over GitHub, there are 7 million new developers joining the army of open source. That's the reality today. And Microsoft is giving a lot of support for GitHub today. We have been giving Visual Studio license only with Azure DevOps. But now, if you go and purchase GitHub Enterprise today, you get free license with for Visual Studio Enterprise. So that's the commitment what Microsoft is putting into open source. I want to highlight, so I'm not just talking theories here. Those who have attended the last, I can't remember what event it was. We had an event in Taj Samutra, and there were a few engineers from John Keels. I believe one of them or a few of them are here today as well. They came to the stage and they presented how they are using DevOps at John Keels. So we are not talking theories. There are organizations in Sri Lanka using DevOps to the extent that which many others are not using yet. And it has helped them to speed up delivery. Not only at John Keel's, MAS is also doing quite a lot of stuff with the DevOps. The second thing that I want to quickly talk about is the cloud native applications. What is the cloud native applications? Again, I want to highlight that we support this also in the intelligent edge. If you can't have this application just running on the cloud because of the speed, because of the data residency, you can still use the same thing on Azure Stack, and there are many other technologies available. We support app services Linux. So people develop applications on Linux, and people come to me and ask, okay, can I only run in Windows? No, that is not true. You can run it on Linux. And there is something called serverless, where you want to pay only for execution. That is also possible, and that is also available in Linux platform. So Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS, this is one of the flagship product of Microsoft. Many people come to me and ask, okay, I have a lot of containers, I want to use Kubernetes or K8 as the orchestration platform. Can you help me? And what is the difference between other cloud providers and Microsoft? The uniqueness of Microsoft, those who know, how many of you are familiar with Kubernetes? Few people, yes. So Kubernetes has two things, the worker nodes and the master node. Master node is the one which orchestrates the entire thing. Master node has to be highly available, and the worker nodes, they come up and die down depending on the demand for these containers. So the uniqueness of Microsoft is that the master node is managed by Microsoft and given to you completely free of charge, zero cost. This is one of the uniqueness of Azure. No other cloud provider, I think Google has recently started this, but no other cloud provider except Microsoft and Google, no other cloud provider doing that right now. The master node is completely free and completely managed, patched, security updated, everything is managed by Microsoft. You simply need to run your worker nodes, and you are free to do whatever. Even Microsoft can apply patches for the worker nodes as well. So I may be talking deep technology stuff here, but those who understand, it will be useful. So the architecture that you look at is, and the next thing that I want to tell you is, okay, Kubernetes is an open source project. People come to me and ask, okay, is there a managed service provider where I can simply develop containers, give it to somebody, someone can completely run this, including the worker node? Yes. The only thing, or one of the famous things that is doing this is the Red Hat OpenShift. Red Hat OpenShift is the managed enterprise level Kubernetes cluster, and it is completely managed by Red Hat, and they provide these services on all the cloud providers. What is the uniqueness in Azure? Azure and Red Hat, we have a close partnership, and Red Hat and Microsoft together, we are uniquely giving a fully managed service. So if you look at a standard structure, you have all these containers, and everything should be managed by customers on any other cloud provider. But when you come to Azure, Azure and Red Hat are taking a lot of workload from you, and we are managing everything for you. So that's one of the beauties of OpenShift Cloud that you can use. This is a fully managed solution. Because of the time, I want to just quickly shift. So who is using this today? We are working with Dialog, and Dialog is the first customer in Sri Lanka, or maybe in this region, who is using highly scalable AKS cluster, and we have successfully implemented it. Is going to go live in few days time. So this is, Dialog is, you know how large they are, how many customers, more than 7 million users or 8 million users using Dialog services today. So that is relying on Azure Kubernetes service right now for one of their core applications. The next thing that I want to highlight is the artificial intelligence. So people come to me, artificial intelligence requires a lot of processing power. Can we only do it on the cloud? The answer is yes, you need a lot of power for training your artificial intelligence models. But once it is trained, once it is compiled, once you create the container, you can run it on the edge. So my topic today is how you can bring all this awesomeness of cloud to the edge and make your data residency and the latency issues. So I want to quickly, rather than talking too much on that, I want to quickly go to a scenario. The intelligence, there is nothing more than the human intelligence. So we can clearly identify things by looking at people, looking at things we can quickly identify. The artificial intelligence of Azure is 96% human parity. We are almost close to the human intelligence in terms of vision. In terms of hearing, reading stuff, we are 88% close. And decision making, researchers, we are again 69% and 89%. These are the stats that we have. So we are very close to human parity. And the next thing is I want to quickly highlight, so what we have, so rather than talking all this. So I want to highlight two applications. To highlight a biscuit manufacturing company. Unfortunately, I cannot name it yet because it's not publicly available. One of the biscuit manufacturers in Sri Lanka, they are using artificial intelligence to look at the quality of the biscuits produced. How do they do that? They look at the color, they look at so many different things, and they make a decision whether it is high quality, low quality, whether we need to send this for export quality, whether we need to classify this for internal use. So this is something that they have been using, and there are tons and tons of biscuits being produced. So how do you make sure that things are moving at the speed at which you want? So they have trained the model on Azure. They have brought it down to Azure Stack, which they have on-prem, and then they can do all the decision making then and there. The latency had been addressed. So this is one of the uniqueness that I've been highlighting to everybody, that it is not just cloud. You can use the cloud for training, much higher processing power required. Then once you compile it, you can bring it down to your on-prem. The last topic that I want to talk about is database. People come to me again and say, okay, is Microsoft only selling SQL Server? Are you only managing SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server? Yes, Microsoft SQL Server is now one of the best database tools, not just in Windows platform, but it also runs on Linux platform. How many of you know this? It runs on Linux platform. Perfect, good. It runs on Linux platform, and it is one of the most secure database, trusted by many banks. Some of the top banks, even in Sri Lanka, there are people using SQL Server. So people come to me and ask, okay, is SQL Server the only thing Microsoft provides? No. We provide PostgreSQL, MySQL, MariaDB, and all. So again, we have done again with Dialog that one of the biggest Oracle system is now being converted to PostgreSQL. So Microsoft has involved in this, and we have helped them to migrate, and they are using PostgreSQL on the cloud. So these are some of the case studies that we have right now in Sri Lanka. So that's the power of Microsoft. And data is without limit. So we simply say that you can have not just gigabytes, but you can have hundreds of terabytes of data stored in the database. We are talking about big data solutions now. We are not classifying, we are not just truncating data anymore. We are talking about having everything so that we can make decisions based on the history. It is supported on PostgreSQL, MySQL, and SQL Server. All three leading databases are supported for this hyperscale database storage. So because of the time, I just want to quickly go through all this. So I've been talking about all this intelligent edge. So what is intelligent edge? I just want to give you a quick overview of that. So what is intelligent edge? The intelligent edge contains, right now, we have something called Azure Stack. Azure Stack is nothing but we are bringing down the Azure servers to your on-prem or wherever the country that we are in. It gives you exactly the same user experience, the portal that you get, everything that you get, including IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, all the functionalities are going to be available in the Azure Stack. So those who have requirements where you want to keep your data in-house or latency issues, and you want to get the exact same power, look and feel, user experience of Azure, go for Azure Stack. Like what I said, Sri Lanka Telecom is bringing down Azure Stack 8-node server set. So those who can't afford to buy this, those who want to buy as a service from a service provider, you can, within few months, you can buy this from SLT. Make sure that only 2 reasons. 1, data residency. Number 2, you need low latency systems. Other than that, there is nothing stopping you, because when you go to cloud, you have unlimited power. So that is exactly what I wanted to tell you. Thank you very much, and hope you will enjoy the rest of the session. Hope I gave you some insights and excited you with some of the insights that I got. Thank you very much.
Can better if they are dispersed is fine. If they disperse, it's okay.